Mr. Raymond?
Sure. As part of, again, the annual vision planning schedule, staff identified the need to regularly review village fee schedule as part of the budget process. This is done to ensure that all village fees are properly listed, to help identify any gaps in the fee schedule whereby specific services or privileges are being provided for which charging fees may be appropriate, and to consider whether or not the amounts of these fees are set at levels that reasonably reflect the costs or benefits of the services being provided. These items under agenda point number 3 are items that were identified as gaps in the fee schedule. Again, they're being presented separately for ease of action. We are asking that motions be made on all of them and whether they're voted up or down, just so that action be taken. Staff identifies no inherent recommendation with them, other than we've identified what we believe are the reasonable costs, and the rest is a judgment call on the board whether they want to go down those trails or not. The first item is the block party fee. I have a memo. Basically says that not only do we have to coordinate with customer service coordinates with police departments on block parties, but we also coordinate with DPW. DPW has to deliver and pick up barricades, closed streets in relation to these events. Staff estimates the cost and that staff time to be approximately $50 per event. And the recommended motion is to add those fee for $50 for block party events to cover those costs. Effective 1/1. So if you'd like to take it from there.
Yes, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, really? If none of the board has any questions, I'd like to just take a question from the audience. Can you just come up and state your name and your address?
My name is Arlene Altman. I am a resident of Shorewood and also a commercial property owner. We just had a block party this weekend, and people were just appalled at the thought of charging for a block party. And so I think you're going to get a lot of blowback.
Thank you. Trustee Martin?
Yeah, I would not support initiating a block party fee. I think it's good to get our neighbors, knowing neighbors for safety in the neighborhood, our neighborhood watch type approach. Also, it's one of our major visions to create a community and maintain that neighborhood, kind of small town, know your neighbors environment, and imposing $50 fee, I think goes totally against that vision goal. I would vote against this.
Trustee Bachers, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I agree with Trustee Maher. It is in our vision statement, and I understand that it is a community building event. We allow many, and I support this as well, but events in the commercial district, and we've had lengthy discussions here at the board over, increasing the amount, but then we've all, well, I shouldn't say we've all, but many of us have agreed that those types of events are great for the community. Anytime we can encourage neighbors to meet face-to-face instead of in front of a screen or in any other way, I think a $2,000, what is it, offset per year is, I know that we're looking for ways to cut, but I would not want to cut this kind of community building. And I like what you said, kind of you didn't say take back the night, but just like nighttime Halloween, it's great to get people out on the street.
Yeah, I do appreciate that there is a cost to the village. Block parties occur, but I agree with trustees Maher and trustee Bachhorst that we want to encourage neighbors to meet. We want to encourage block parties, and I wouldn't want to have a chilling effect by imposing a fee on block parties. We want to do everything we can to make sure that block parties happen and continue to happen within our communities.
Trustee Carpenter?
So we actually just had a block party this weekend on our block, and I was the person who did all the legwork for it. And I think $50 is a pretty nominal fee. We also asked, we tried to have a bounce house. We did have a bounce house, and everybody came to us and said, here's a couple dollars for the bounce house. And so I think $50 to me seems reasonable. Something happens once a year, and I don't know that it would hold a block back from having a block party. So I actually think this is something I would support.
Thank you. I want to be consistent, and I always say, I know we all try to be consistent. I've made this argument, I totally agree with trustee Maher and trustee Bachhorst, and the others, that we want we did a human relations commission this year, which I'm real proud about, and I know trustee McKay as well, but to get people to connect with one another, and that's how your village, stays connected and stays strong. And when you lose that, there's a problem. But I also feel the same way about commercial block parties, and we charge a special event fee of $100 just for the event. And then we also then charge them for any DPW time, or I'm not sure if we do that yet, and we charge for police time. And so I do want to be consistent. I will not vote for the $50 fee, but I also, in the future, when we discuss special events for commercial district, I feel like that I will be consistent at that point too, because they both foster community outreach and getting to know one another in your community.
Aren't they making money though?
Exactly, sorry.
This is not a revenue generator for your block.
It's still money it's the village's money because we're utilizing staff time. So if we're charging for, being consistent, if we're charging for our staff time, whether you're making money or not, you're charging for your staff time. So that's my opinion, and I just want to state it.
Is there
Trustee Mehta.
a motion on the floor?
Do you want to make a motion?
No, I don't support it, so I'm not making a motion.
Trustee McKay.
Yeah, I don't want to make a motion either because I won't support it at this time. I really appreciate staff for stepping up and really identifying ways, but we have a lot of serious impact options ahead of us, and I don't think this is one that I would want to move forward at this time.
Do we need a motion to deny it? To not do it?
You don't.
Okay.
It would just be nice, again, to,
You probably won't. You probably should.
well, no, we don't. We don't. There's very, and again, the idea is not to generate revenue, it's to identify gaps. It was part of our normal process. So if you would like to just call the next agenda item, that's fine.
Are you okay with that, trustee Carpenter? Okay. So then the next fee we'll discuss is the public delinquent property maintenance.
I did, again, as part of the same process, we had all staff, management staff together. We had been talking about this. Staff in the village spends a significant amount of staff time and other resources monitoring and administering delinquent property enforcement activities. These relate primarily to monitoring issues with failing to clear sidewalks of snow in the winter and appropriate lawn care maintenance per code in the summer. I go on to say that we pay $1,800 a year just to patrol the sidewalks. We contract for that service. Whether it's, I think it's 24 hours after a snow, they'll go around and try to determine who hasn't cleared their walks per code. We also have staff that fields complaints and otherwise addresses issues of summertime lawn care maintenance issues per code. Well, we don't believe that the recommended fee covers all of the costs related to the broader issues. Staff does believe that by adding a $50 administrative fee in addition to costs would both be reasonable and serve as an incentive for property owners to address these issues privately instead of using municipal services for lawn care or snow removal. So that is in essence, our recommendation. It's included in the motion, recommended motion. Again, please add effective 1/19 to that if you choose to make that motion. But otherwise, we're in a position to go through all these time and efforts and then charge somebody, $12 to clear their sidewalks for them, which is, not a real productive use of municipal resources.
Trustee Bachhorst?
So, as someone who used to run a lot in the wintertime, and there are many issues there are certain areas in the village that I believe there's some repeat offenders, and I don't know if this has been discussed, and forgive me if this is really onerous, but if there's a way to perhaps, sometimes people make mistakes, right? They might not clear their walk once here or there, whatever it is. But if there were way to be a little bit stronger with those that use or rely on the village clearing their walk and then getting their kind of nominal fee, because of safety issues primarily, I'm just speaking of. But I'm not really wording this properly, and I hadn't thought about this until now. But it would be nice to see if you do this more than recidivism, right? So if this is a habitual kind of act, but I don't know administratively how that would work.
The fire department just needs to know.
I mean, I absolutely agree. I think that maybe some sort of sliding scale based on how many offenses, because again, we are a walking community, and so I know, you know, the houses that I pass every day on the way to school, which ones are gonna have their sidewalk cleared and which ones won't, and which ones will be like a sheet of ice. And so, yeah, I think having some way to, you know, some tracking to know if you have, you know, offended and haven't had your sidewalks cleared multiple times, that you should be paying more than somebody who, you know, maybe they went out of town and something happened. And
They got stomach flu.
Right.
Their spouse is traveling and everyone got stomach flu.
Right, so.
As if that would ever happen.
And just
Unless
to,
you weren't.
and just to be clear, yeah, I support this notion of kind of recidivism and battling against that, but just to be clear, I think we should limit it to one season. I wouldn't want something where we're adding people up for the duration of like 5 years. So as long as we're reasonable, we should.
10 years.
So, I mentioned too, so for the fire station, they had kept track before they implemented a fee. They presented data to the board and they said, you know, it's not the individual residents, it's the commercial property institutes that they call all the time to pick up falls. So when people fall. And so they showed with the data to say, okay, the calls we're getting is because they want to avoid workers' compensations and they know it's free. So to deter against that, they charged, you know, they proposed a charge for repeat offenders and by classification. And then, so if the data says that it's commercial properties that are mainly doing it or repeat offenders, you could do it that way, stage it like commercial for offenders, it's a certain price, and residential, or you can give the first, you know, one-time free, you know, like you just get a warning, or, so there's different ways to step it down. I just wanted to let you know that based on what staff's seeing, it might help to decide what step down is. Martin.
Yeah, I mean, consistent with, you know, comments I've heard, if exercising language into a proposed motion would be for second and subsequent offenses within the same calendar year as a condition of this fee, I think that could be easily administered.
Do you know if the repeat offender, is it mostly repeat offenders, and if so, are they mostly residential, or?
I don't have a lot of data on that, but I'm sure we have a few people who
I mean, it's a lot of money
rely
for.
more frequently on municipal services to cut their lawn or throw their snow than we would like to believe.
So if I did the numbers though, because it's $12, we had 3 snow seasons, right? 3 big snows this year. So 12 into 1,800 or 600, so that's probably what? 50, how many offenders is that? I'm trying to figure out how many offenders we have out there to get this 1,800.
Well, we have a ton more offenders. Most of them will self-correct after getting the proper notices. I mean, this doesn't just happen, we don't just show up overnight and charge people. When you get notices, they get cited by the police for not having a clear sidewalk. You know, but ultimately, when we go through all these processes and have to, you know, contract somebody to go out and clear a sidewalk or do some lawn maintenance, you know, this is a point where we propose administrative fee. And again, any measure here is, I think, staff review is a step in the right direction. So again, if you want to include the second and subsequent offenses, we'll see how that goes and come back next year.
Was the thing being discussed, having no administrative fee?
Well, that's not what I said.
Escalating.
No.
So I guess I would make a motion to approve adding to the village fee schedule an administrative fee of $50 in addition to cost of services for delinquent property maintenance actions effective 1/1/18. That's the base motion.
Second.
19, sorry.
So that's without this step at
Well, we
all.
could object, amend.
Oh, yeah, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, trustee Menta, I know there's a question in the audience too, but after the trustees.
I'm going to vote no on this because the amount that the administrative fee is more than the amount cited that we spend on snow patrol services. And my perception is that a lot of people who are repeat offenders are elderly in our community who may not be able to get out there themselves or have relatives or people. And so I feel it's punitive and that's why I'm not going to support it.
Trustee
Well,
Bachman?
this is anecdotal, of course, but a lot of the times that I've had to cross the street or not use sidewalks have been in very affluent areas, really close to the lake, if not lakeside. So I'm not sure if that's just, anyway, but that's anecdotal.
Okay. That was the concern at the fire board was the elderly, because it's the same thing, like the elderly fall more, so you don't want, you need to see the data before you actually implement the fee, just so that you're not punitive, like you figure out how to structure that fee, if that's the concern. So I think I'm in agreement.